I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now, what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
Oh, give me fucking truth, baby! Come on! Let's go!
How have I been this successful in life?
We are back. Welcome, folks, to this week's edition of the MMA Analysis Podcast. All Canada again this week, Sean. What's going on south of the border? Just AIDS epidemic? What's happening?
You know what? There is a lot going on down there, especially in the south. I don't know what specifically, but there's a lot of options for what it could be.
There's always something going on up north. There's puck, and that's pretty much all people are looking at right now. So if you see us glancing off to the sides of our screens, it's probably because we're watching a hockey game in the background. How are things going hockey-wise, Sean? Are you feeling good about the old Oilers?
It's a fucking roller coaster, man. I was a very depressed human being after the first period on, what was that, Saturday?
Yep.
Or Sunday, I think.
Yeah, Sunday, because I watched that one.
Yeah, I down 3-0 after a period and possibly going down 3-1 was rough, and I threw on the Oilers jersey, tried to get some good juju, and they came back, and then they took it to them last night, so things are looking good, and I'm ready to be let down again. So I'm always prepared for that, but I'll let's get it done. There's a big break between Game 5 and Game 6 for the Oilers, so
they did the same thing with the Leafs and Lightning. It's like, what was it, Tuesday to Friday or Monday to Friday or something between games for them?
So they play tomorrow. So they play Thursday. So that's
Monday
a 3-day
to Thursday
break. Not bad.
Yeah.
Oilers have such a break because the Clippers and the Lakers and the Kings are all playing at the same arena. So that's a bit of a scheduling nightmare.
Yeah, that's not good. It's a good thing one of those basketball teams is about to lose, or already did. I think the Clippers lost last night. I don't know. I haven't been paying too much attention. NBA doesn't really get started till the second round.
I know it's if you're not a diehard, it's the first round is tough. There's nothing like the first round in hockey because there's just so much puck going on, and I feel like the NBA is the complete opposite, where you can just don't give a shit until the second round, third round.
It's crazy because like the Heat are up 3-1 right now, and they're still even money to win the series.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that is wild.
So I think they're like plus 120 or something like that to actually win the series. Seems weird to me, but hey, what do I know? I felt the heartbreak or the roller coaster myself on the weekend. Sean drove down to Buffalo.
Yes.
To watch the beloved Rock take on the Bandits.
You bet.
And flying through the first half, and then Buffalo got going, and that was one of the cooler sporting atmospheres that I've been to, because we get a decent crowd in Hamilton for the Rock games.
Yep.
We got up to like 13K earlier this year, but Buffalo, they packed the KeyBank Center. So I'm sure it's louder in there for a Bandits game than it is for a Sabres game.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the Sabres finally did something a little bit this year, but yeah, they've been so bad for so long. It's kind of sad. My father-in-law is a Sabres fan, and he's a poor bastard. How much is it? It's not quite playoffs, right?
This weekend is the final weekend of the regular season.
Right.
So there's one playoff spot to be decided, and then they mean something.
How's
So,
our futures looking? Decent.
pretty good. They're going to be second in the East. So home floor in the first round, and then probably see Buffalo again in the conference finals, and that'll be a war. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. I'm seeing some places start to offer conference future props or prices. So might be an opportunity to be cowards if we want to, but I don't think that's happening this year.
No, definitely not.
Anyway, we're going to be cowards when it comes to breaking down this week's card, because not a ton to say on it. Not a ton to look forward to on it. And probably go through pretty quick during last week's card. So you might be in for a short night tonight, folks. We do like some bets, though. So surprisingly, we came up with some stuff before the show started, and we'll see where it takes us. I know you're struggling still. I'm on the upswing. It's happening.
Yeah, you Lance and Wes are on the upswing. I'm still waiting.
You're due. Oh, there's the Bruins.
There we go.
All right. So last week, UFC Vegas, something or other. It was a card. And actually, I told you before I didn't watch a ton of this, but I was having wings at the Anchor Bar, as one does when one goes to Buffalo. And it was still on ESPN Plus, so some guy just put it on his phone. We were just chatting at the bar. So
nice.
I watched a bunch of the prelims for once. So that's all it takes. Just somebody throwing it on their phone in a random bar. Brady Highstand, late finish against the Batgirl. I'm going to go through like the first, up until whenever. Little Takanori Gomi, split decision over Francis Marshall. Mohammed Usman, future champ, tough winner. The riveting unanimous decision over Junior Tafa. Somehow there's a shittier Tafa. I mean, who knew? And Big Norm and Carol Hossa. What a hoss fight this was. They did a little nothing, and then they stared at each other, and then they clinched for a second. Fun stuff. We'll let you recap from there if there's anything you want to say about any of this.
Just an amazing start to the preliminary card. That was worth watching. I got completely lucky on one of the bets that I did win last week on Highstand. Expected him to have much more success wrestling. He did not, and pulled one out of his ass. I don't know what Batgirl was doing. He wasn't getting too hurt by those punches, but he also wasn't, putting a hand up or even trying to get up. So that was smart. The fire marshal. I know some of the guys were on the fire marshal last week. He should do more stuff. That's my take on that one. A battle of just amazing heavyweights. That was also just meme worthy, with Usman being absolutely atrocious. If he can't wrestle, he looks like he's taken 3 boxing lessons, and Tafa couldn't even get him out of there. And then, of course, you know what that means. It's time to lay on a guy for 5 minutes.
Classic fatties.
Without, not... How do you not do anything from bottom? It's not like Usman was holding him down. He was laying on him. And Tafa was he was not scooting. He was not doing anything. And it was amazing. And there's nothing to say about Dumont and Rosa.
The guy who had the fights on his phone, I told him, he was like, "Oh, what do you think of this next fight?" I'm like, "Oh, Dumont and Rosa." I would save my battery power rather than put this on my phone.
Nice piss break.
That's about how that went. Things started to pick up after that, though. Montel Jackson. We talked about how Haniyaya. Well, I guess. Were you there, or was Wes there last week? One of you was missing. I forget.
I was there. Wes was missing.
We talked about how Haniyaya is real tough to finish. And
hasn't been finished.
Then
he just gets dusted.
Coffin nailed.
Yep. Poor Honey, I bet him by sub, and of course this is what happens to him when I do that.
I think this was the one that I lost last week.
Well, sorry about that.
Thank you for that one.
Yep.
Well, I lost another little guy. Anyway, moving on up. Christos Giagos. Iago smoked Ricky Glenn. I thought this was a little questionable on the stoppage, but I've seen worse.
I mushed old Ricky Glenn. It's been looking better lately. I know he still got taken down by Grant Dawson, but just getting fucking dropped like that. Did not see that coming. Did not think that was Giagos' path to victory. We needed some wrestling there, and that was not happening.
Yeah, he's I don't know. He's all right in the first round. He's always been good in the first round.
Yeah, he's less bad than I thought he was.
And this is where I then left and went to the arena. So you're gonna have to fill in the gaps. Bullfrog, easy winner from what I understand. You tried to mush us on the consensus as well, but we overcame. We shall overcome.
It took all three of you guys being on one side to help me not mush him, because it was very close multiple times, and somehow the Bullfrog pulls it out. Love it.
Joe Brogan fighting ain't for you. I didn't actually watch this. I don't know how bad it was, but one of the Yasmins got the unanimous decision there. And then there was a no contest that Bobby Breen complained about because apparently he doesn't understand the rules of MMA. And then the co-main and the main. I saw these ones because they were real quick. Bruno Silva can be violent when he does things. That's fun. But you can talk about any of those three. I just figured there was nothing that happened in the first two.
Yeah, don't care about the ladies' fight. Bobby Green, it was a typical Bobby Green fight. Weird shit happens. The guy's pissed because he's not going to get his win bonus, but I mean, unfortunately, in this day and age, that's the way it goes. Unless you're an A side, you're not getting only fight bonus or fight purses. But yeah, Bruno Silva. I don't know what happened in his last fight. But this one,
the meerkat. That's what happened.
I know. I don't know. He got hypnotized. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, it looked good. It could have went a couple more punches to put Tavares right out. He was still getting up, but
he was getting there.
Yeah.
And then main event, not boring Russian. Did not boring things to Curtis Blaydes, who is now a striker.
Man, I had faith. I was like, you know what? He's not that dumb. He struck against some guys, but the guys that he was striking weren't death punchers for the most part. But no, he found some success early. He was tagging him. It's just when he hit him, it did pretty much nothing, and when Pavlovich hit him, it did a lot. And by the time he was getting cracked too much, he spams an absolute horrible takedown and gets it stuffed, obviously, and then he got murdered. So yeah, I bet Curtis Blaydes because I'm a genius. So you're welcome for that cash on you three fellers.
Yeah, I know this was Munich, but I didn't even take the money line. I still just went with the round one TKO.
Round one TKO. What was it? Three mid
380.
Fuck. Yeah. That was a good play. I even said that.
You did. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for the tip.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when I knew that fight was over, I already knew the result, so I knew that Curtis Blaydes was going to get knocked out at some point. But when I was watching it back, the first time they circled and they showed the camera angle from like behind Blaydes, and you could see that he's now got this like big old bald spot. I was like, oh no, he doesn't have the right amount of PEDs to be fighting this man. This is not going to go well. And then it didn't. And that was last week's card. I guess it got fun towards the end. I don't know that I would have wanted to sit through the whole thing if I wasn't doing other things, but yeah.
Yeah, it was better than probably what we're getting this week, unless some
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, there's going to be some if certain fighters win, it'll be a meaningless but somewhat enjoyable card. If certain people don't win, then it's going to be very bad and not matter.
Okay, I'm going to take a risk with this one, and I'm just going with the Tapology because a bunch of stuff has been canceled. So I figure even if I go by the Wikipedia order, it's probably going to be out of order anyway. So I'm not bothering with that. You're going to have to get on my level for this one.
I'm ready.
And we're going to kick it off. Banger. Women's bantamweight division. Haley Cowan against Yame Horth. Is this a new Danish fighter? Or what's going on with Yame Horth?
She's from Squamish, British Columbia, Brad.
Oh, then easy fade. Canada.
Yes, 100%. She's fought 5 times. She has 5 finishes.
Ooh.
The other lady is not good, but low level, what do? We take the dog. And especially against a newcomer that only has finishes and is Canadian.
Yeah. Shockingly, just pulling up the record right now, she does have wins against people with winning records, which we don't see a lot stepping into the women's MMA debuts. So
unfortunately, a couple of those were Canadians. So do they really count?
They don't. I do see that one of them was in TKO. I didn't realize that TKO was still a thing. Has it ever come back since COVID?
2019? Cyril Gahn fought on that fight card. That's crazy. No, the last one was canceled, and that was October 9th, 2019. It was supposed to be in Montreal.
That sounds about right. So it's going to be a no for Jamie Lynn North on this one. See what I did there? She's from Canada. Yeah.
Yes, I
witty.
see.
I'm sure nobody else is going to come up with something like that. What's Cowan by decision, by the way, on this?
Oh, of course.
Plus 210.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a little cheaper or not as good of numbers at some other places.
So I think that was 365 that had that. So pretty widely available as far as this stuff goes. Anyway, way too long on that one. Moving on. The old Elite XC super bantamweight division. I don't even think they had that. They had like super lightweight or a weird lightweight. Journey Newson taking on Marcus McGhee at 140 pounds. Journey Newson was supposed to fight Kelleher. Boom, boom.
Yes.
But, and that line was super close. But now he's fighting this feller.
I obviously do not have much here. I do not know much about old Marcus McGhee. The guys he's beat don't look very good. Seems like he was in the area and could pass a blood test. So I will pick Journey Newsom.
He's from the lab, baby. They stay ready. He's all
you ready, stay ready. Yep.
He's all hopped up on the chicken parms over there.
Ooh.
Also, I don't want to get too tinfoil hat on this podcast, but you pull up this man's Tapology photo. I don't think this is Marcus McGhee. I think that's Grandpa Ronaldo in a wig. So
he looks pretty weathered. He's a weathered man
for 32, right?
He's seen some shit in the rough streets of Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, stuff goes down at the lab, all right? You don't even want to know. I don't know what the line for this one is. Journey Newson is only minus 190 when he was minus 130 against Kelleher. Doesn't make any sense to me, but literally no clue. So passing on this one. Just the hits keep coming. Women's bantamweight, Stephanie Bacon and Egger taking on Irina Alekseeva.
Why is this lady in the UFC? Like, I know that does, like, being in the UFC means absolutely nothing in this day and age, but
which one you're talking about?
I mean, Egger's been in the UFC. The other lady, she fought for Bellator last time, but also is
everybody wants to fight.
Man, this is bad. Stephanie Egger is minus 300. That seems bad because Stephanie Egger shouldn't be minus 300 to anyone. But who knows? Maybe this Russian Ronda lady is that bad.
Her nickname is Russian Ronda, and she's got one armbar win in her career. Her most impressive win, however, is against the 0-0 Gulnara Garaleva.
Of course.
Refusal to fight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Didn't want none.
No.
Did not want none.
That's tells you how hard the Alekseeva is. Just yeah, these are things that we see in the UFC. Moving on, I guess. Flyweight division. At least I've heard of both of these fighters. Cody Durden, everyone's favorite, taking on Charles Johnson. How many times do you think Charles Johnson is going to get taken down before he starts fighting in this one?
Ooh, it's gonna be probably 3 at least. He's got okay takedown defense. I mean, he doesn't really have good takedown defense. What he can do is just pop back up again.
Yes.
I think like Durden is not good, but what he can do is wrestle. And so that scares me off of taking Charles Johnson, because Johnson is definitely the better fighter. But in this matchup, I think those takedowns are going to be enough. And Cody Durden's probably dumb enough to not get finished in the third. So I'll stay away. I'm hoping Johnson puts him out, because we always like seeing Cody Durden get fucked up. But it's not good enough to play it.
Yeah, it's like if it was just the Mukayev fight where he got taken down a bunch of times, I could live with it. And like after that, he looked pretty good against ZZ Bottom and who else did he fight? Somebody else that didn't have a lot of wrestling success. What was that?
Well,
no,
I thought O'Day.
Yeah, that was the one that after I saw that one.
He destroyed Jimmy Flick off of when the retired Jimmy Flick.
Yeah, that was the other one that he looked pretty good in. But man, getting again, like you said, he usually pops back up, but started to pop back up a little less in that third round against O'Day, the old Black Sabbath. That's not good, because that guy's not a good grappler. So I don't know if Durden has his cardio in check, but if he does, I think he could give Johnson some problems in this one and get takedowns throughout this fight. So the line's tightened up a little bit, I think. It opened up around minus 200, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so minus 200, whatever the other side of that is, like 170 or whatever they would have been offering. Probably would have taken that on Durden. Maybe some on the decision prop because Johnson is pretty tough. But those have all come down enough that I am not going to bet Cody Durden because I do not like him. Heavyweight division. Now things get real. We've got Martin Buday taking on Kate Collier. Epic showdown. Who is going to blow it more in this one?
I really don't know. This is
right?
This is an amazing heavyweight fight. Of course, it's lined as a pick'em because both these guys are not good, and then of course you got the over 1.5. That's like minus 250. This is just all kinds of win. Both these guys do land a decent amount for heavyweight, so that kind of scares me away from playing the over 2.5. I think Buday is better, but he's still very, very bad. Low level heavyweights, just stay away.
Yeah. I mean, this is almost getting to the point where you have to think about betting the under. I know I'm not going to because I have principles that I like to stick to, but I think that Collier's not bad offensively. Nope. It's just when it starts coming back at him, he doesn't appreciate that so much. And Buday is a very large man. He doesn't really try to hurt people a lot, but he might do it by accident to somebody like Collier. So I'd be leaning under here, but really don't quite know. And honestly, the smart play in this one is probably Buday by decision, creeping up to like plus 400.
There we go.
Yeah, that seems more likely, especially since the over is looking a little juicy in this one. 170, Josh Quinlan. I feel like this guy has hype for some reason. Was he on Contenders, or was he an LFA guy, or is he just pretty?
Waters?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Quinlan.
Quinlan. Well, Waters has a little bit of hype too. Quinlan, yeah, he was on Contender Series, and then he knocked out Jason Witt, which is,
Oh yeah, I bet him in that one.
Tough task. Yeah.
Good stuff. And that's a handsome man.
Yeah. He's all right. I'm sure he does well. Waters seems to have a little bit of hype too. I mean, he was the LFA welterweight champion. I know he did get choked out by one of the bomb themes, but those guys seem to be pretty decent. So I guess I can't really hold too much against him there.
I remember this guy. He's way too tall.
Oh, is he? What are we?
Way too tall.
I mean, what are we looking at here? 6'5".
He's a 6'5" welterweight. He's too tall.
Against a 6 foot. Yeah, that's
Quinlan all day.
Yeah, that tall guy defense. It's probably going to show up here. Yeah, Quinlan like minus 180. I'll pick him, but it should be a decent fight. I think these guys are like decent kind of young fighters in the UFC.
Yeah, from what I remember of Waters, he does a good job being very awkward and trying to use his height. But as I said a couple times, he's too tall. Makes them all uncoordinated, and then they like flop around and their head's somewhere where it shouldn't be. And then it gets punched. And Quinlan, I think people kind of thought that he needed to prove something coming out of Contender Series and getting a whole bunch of, relatively easy finishes on the regional circuit. And I don't know that you can say he did that against Jason Witt, because a lot of people give that guy problems early in fights. I think he he got taken down a couple times in that fight too, but popped back up. If I'm recalling, I don't have the old UFCA stats in front of me at the moment, but
Witt took him down once.
There we go. I knew something like that happened, and then he just got deaded, as Jason Witt ought to do. So I'll go Quinlan here. I'm not sure that the money line is super enticing, or the TKO is only like plus 115. Don't really love that, so probably stay away from this one altogether. But gotta go against the way too tall guy. Heavyweights, this is where guys are allowed to be tall, but not too tall, like Stefan Struve. Gives you heart problems. It's not good for you, Sean.
Gravity's a motherfucker. It's tough to pump that blood through his body.
It must be scary up there.
Yep, it is.
What if you fall? It's a long way.
It's a long way down.
Anyways, more heavyweights here. Waldo, where's Waldo Cortes-Acosta taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima? Is he on the Brazilian national team for wrestling? Because, what takedowns these last couple fights.
Yeah, that's I'm honestly I'm pretty surprised by this line. I don't think Cortes-Acosta is some amazing fighter. Doesn't look great when you can't get Chase Sherman or Jared Vandera bread out of there. Like it's not great, but he does throw a good amount of volume, and he's gone 3 rounds multiple times. That shows him he has a little bit of cardio. I know we like to bet against De Lima. We always think he's gonna gas. Recently, there's not really been anybody pushing him to gas, which he does need a little nudge. It's I think before he didn't really need a nudge. Now he needs a little bit of a nudge. I think the volume that Waldo Cortes is going to throw at him is going to make him work. If De Lima catches him early, that's always a possibility with De Lima. If he doesn't, I think Waldo Cortes is just going to out-volume, tire him out, and possibly finish him when he gasses. I don't think his cardio just miraculously came back or grew. And I mean, if we're being honest, he beat Andrei Arlovski. He lost to Blagoy Ivanov. Then he beat Ben Rothwell and Maurice Green. Like, that seems that's like those are wins. They are wins. He didn't lose, except to Ivanov. But I don't see how that gets you to being a minus 170, minus 180 favorite against a guy that does throw a ton of volume. So I'll be on Cortes-Acosta. Looks like you get about plus 157 or so at Bet Online. I think I'm going to take that for a couple units and then cry when I have too much money on a shitty heavyweights fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can get with you on the multiple units on this one, but I am leaning the same way. Waldo, I think that De Lima has very much changed up his game as he's moved up to heavyweight and gotten older. Not quite so crazy and willing to quit within the first 3 minutes of the first round. Now you have to get him to like minute 7 and still be doing stuff against him. But unfortunately, a 48-year-old Andrei Arlovski is not going to make the business decision to not try to defend submissions. He's just going to get tapped out to the first thing you throw on him. And like Blagoy Ivanov has never done anything in fights. So I don't know. It's kind of a deceiving win streak, especially, or not win streak, but record lately in terms of the names that he's beaten, but the quality that he's beating them at are a little iffy. And I just think that Waldo's a decent athlete for a heavyweight fighter. So if he does get taken down once early, he's probably going to be able to pop back up to his feet. And as you said, he's actually got reasonable cardio for a heavyweight. So yeah, I'm thinking Waldo here. I'm thinking probably round 2 after De Lima blows his wad in the first round. But don't really know that I want to touch a total in here when you can get the money line on Waldo plus 157, as you said. Consensus bet of the week. Very, very confident consensus bet of the week on 2 low-level heavyweights. Gotta love it, Sean. I'm sure Weston Lance will be thrilled when they listen back to the podcast and go through second by second. Next up, featherweight division. We've got Juicy J. Is it? Can we say friend of the analysis, Juicy J, at this point?
I mean, he wasn't a friend last time out to me. That's for goddamn sure.
I know, but like we gave this guy so much shit.
Oh, we gave him so much shit. Oh yes, we were auto fading him, and and he's made me pay because I thought he was that guy the second time around, and turns out he's a bit better than that.
He's earned my respect over the years. I am very respectful of Juicy J 2.0, Juicy J squared, and he is taking on something called Fernando Padilla. Fernando Padilla has not fought since May of 2021, so almost 2 years now. Is that good, Sean?
I don't think so. Another line that really baffles me. I don't know if there's I don't know if we got a Kraus situation here or something, because this line opened like minus 350, minus 325, and is now minus 130. So, I mean, if it is what it is, I'll lose this bet. If somebody knows something, I just don't understand. I'll be honest, I haven't done my tape study on Fernando Padilla, but hasn't fought in 2 years. Didn't really beat that good of guys on the regional scene, so I'm not sure why he's getting absolutely hammered. Like I said, I was on Juicy J last time he was out there, and that went very, very poorly. But I still think this guy's shown some pretty good offense. The defense is questionable at times, but is this guy the guy that's going to take advantage of that? I don't think so. I'll be on Juicy J minus 130.
Yeah, it's doesn't quite add up to me. Maybe I'm missing something on Padilla, but you would think if he was that good and coming back after a 2-year layoff and making his UFC debut, that someone would be talking about him. Jason, I appreciate that. I've got a big house. There's a long way to walk from this room to where the beer is. It's terrible. I need to get a third fridge. That's the problem. But yeah, Juicy J's fought good guys, and he's fought them competitively in the ones where he hasn't just gotten knocked out. And unfortunately, the last one was one where if you were on him, he got knocked out. And it happened against Choi a few fights ago as well. And in between there, he's looked very good against Charles Jourdain. And I don't want to say very good, but pretty good against Hakeem Dawodu. Sometimes Dawodu will just make himself look bad by not doing anything. And that's a bit of what happened in that fight. But anyway, I think that like until I see it from a guy like Fernando Padilla, I'll take basically even money on the other side against a guy who is flawed. And I know he's flawed, but I know will also bring it and can do so at a pretty high level. So I'll have a little bet on Juicy J minus 130 in this spot as well. Next up, middleweight division, Rodolfo Vieira taking on Cody Brundage. Sean, is this Is this a round one Vieira sub and then hold your butt cheeks, or are you looking the other way in this one?
I would. It's pretty safe to assume if Vieira's not getting it done in one, then it's gonna go pretty poorly. Especially against a guy in Brundage that seems to have all right cardio. Why is Vieira fighting at 185? Like, just fight at 205. Then you don't cut weight or less weight, and the people are shittier there. They might be bigger, but that doesn't matter if you can take them down because they're terrible. I don't know. Whoever's managing that man is doing a very piss poor job. Brundage has been taken down against decent grapplers. I'm assuming Vieira's going to get him down. I know he didn't get Curtis down, went over 20, but Curtis actually has good takedown defense. Yeah. I think Vieira gets him down early, probably subs him, even though Brundage hasn't been subbed before, but he doesn't. This is going to get gross, and Brundage probably wins the decision if he can make it out of the first. So I don't know whether you play round one Vieira, round one sub, round one, or you leave it and maybe live bet it.
What do we got? Vieira round one sub is only plus 215. Don't love that.
That is for the most part, that is his path. I know weird things do happen, but I guess he could, somehow get a takedown early in the second and do it then. But that is the path. It's just not a good number.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm probably going to look at the other side. I think Brundage isn't a good wrestler by any means, but he knows what wrestling is and might be able to use that to stuff a takedown or two. I mean, it's wild in retrospect that Vieira closed basically even money against Chris Curtis. I think that was one that I bet earlier in the week and took Curtis at like minus 140 and then was just like shaking my head as it came down the whole time. But then he ended up being competitive-ish on the feet early in that one, just because Curtis was so worried about the takedown. So I'm not sure if he can maybe do the same thing against Brundage here. But I can't see him carrying anything over into round 2 and round 3 of a fight. So I'll take Brundage, maybe a little shot on money line because I don't think the round 3 props plus 1,800, decision is plus 700. I don't know what those like round 3 or decisions are, but that at a big number would be pretty interesting to me as well. But I think Brundage survives the early onslaught and takes over late in this one. And somehow, Sean, we're already at the co-main event.
Hell yeah.
This star-studded card. We've got Caio Borralho. At least one half of this fight is fun. The Candyman, win or lose, brings it. He'll punch dudes. He'll get subbed. Maybe he can make a Borralho fight interesting. What do you got here?
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know if he has that in him. I think Michael Lucandi has some of the best boxing in the higher weight divisions. This just seems like a bad matchup. He doesn't have great takedown defense. Borralho is for the most part a grappler. He probably gets him down. Does he sub him? Oof. Borralho hasn't really shown anything in the UFC to show any finishing. I know he's got some finishes on the regional scene and stuff like that. It's always possible. I'm staying away. Nothing really excites me for props on Borralho either. So I'm just gonna leave it. I'll pick him to win a decision.
yeah, initially I looked at this fight and I was like, oh, it's Candyman fight. Probably going to go with the under. I was like, oh, he's fighting Borralho. This is one of those backpackers. Need to have a shot clock for this guy. He's one of those types. So I know that he's got some like weird persona that internet virgins seem to like, I think. I don't know what it is.
While also being just an absolute boring fighter. That's quite the accomplishment that he has a following, considering that.
But yeah, I just, the Candyman does not have good wrestling, good takedown defense. So there is a very good chance that he's going to end up on his back, and then Borralho is going to find his way around to the Candyman's back. And then it's just a matter of, can he actually finish somebody? I think he can. Candyman's gotten finished on the ground by some not great guys. So if this is a warning to all Caio Borralhos out there. If you cannot finish the Candyman after having his back for the majority of a round, you're out. You're cut. You're done. Get out of here. Nobody wants to see you. So it's do or die for him here, really, Sean. It's the most important fight in his career.
Yeah, of course. It always is.
Main event. At least this is a good fight. It's nice that these guys don't have to be a couple of top 5 bantamweights to get a main event. It just sucks that they only got the main event because the card is so shitty in this particular instance, and didn't get any support at all behind them. But Song Yadong taking on Ricky Simón. What you got?
Yeah, there's some upcoming headlining main events that I'm sure we would much rather have this fight headlining than what's going to happen in a couple cards down the road. It should be fun. I'm a guy who's kind of faded Song Yadong a bit, just questioning his takedown defense. It hasn't really got tested. I know Sandhagen was trying to grapple as much as possible, but I wouldn't call Sandhagen a wrestler. Ricky Simón is a wrestler. He's going to get him down. I do worry if Simón can't finish, in the first couple of rounds, is he going to be able to continue that pace? He's shown good cardio so far, but this is a five round fight. So I know we question Merab to be able to do it, and he did it. I don't think he's anywhere near Merab. But I think this is a good stylistic matchup for him. And he has finished the last 2 guys. The level those guys are a bit below Song Yadong. I don't know if he can get him out of there. So then it gets dicey in the back end. But I think he's got the cardio to win 3 rounds. And there's an off chance that the grappling, if it's successful, that maybe Yadong gets tired and he can get a sub. So I'm gonna take Ricky Simón. Yadong's got big power, shown okay takedown defense, but I'll go with the grappler. I feel like I've turned into Lance lately. I'm just taking tons of fucking grapplers, and it hasn't really been paying off. But why stop now?
Oh, no wonder you're not having success so far this year.
Yeah.
Big Yadong guy. It's he's come a long way in his time in the UFC. He's really tightened things up in terms of his approach to the game. And I mean, he's actually become quite fun to watch and pretty decent. I thought that he was having good success in the Sandhagen fight. I was on him in that fight, so I'm probably a little biased. I mean, it didn't play out in the result because that cut was disgusting. But he was landing before and after the cut, and then it just got absurd. So, at some point, they are going to step in, even in MMA's worst commissions. But the fact that he was so tough in that fight and as resilient as he was and still having success despite the eye injury, that's the biggest thing that has me concerned for Ricky Simón in this one, because he's shown that he can be hit and clipped in the past and doesn't necessarily react to it in the best of ways. And I think that is going to happen to him at some point in this fight. He's not going to score every takedown. There are going to be periods where Yadong is on the feet with him and there's a massive power difference. So I think it's about Yadong doing his best sort of like Marlon Vera impersonation in this one and just like losing all of the minutes of the fight, but landing one or two big shots. And maybe it's something that puts Ricky Simón out, and maybe it's something that just allows him to win enough rounds. But I'm kind of siding with Yadong on this one. It's probably just because he's got the plus number next to his name right now, because I think this is a really, really tight fight. And honestly, I don't have much interest in betting it at all. I think if Simón wins, it's because he can keep wrestling and keep grinding and keep doing that for 5 rounds, like you said. And Yadong can win it in a few different ways, but they mostly rely on him landing big shots. So don't feel great about either of those outcomes, but they are both quite reasonable. I know I'm out of it at this point for Toutmaster.
Join the club.
Well, I've missed a few cards as well. It was inevitable. It happened earlier this year than last year, sadly. I'm going to need to get back to my ways. I blame Elon this year because now I have to go on like the following tab instead of the For You tab.
Ugh.
So if I don't see the tweet when it comes out that the sheets are open, then I never see it. I don't set a reminder because why would I do something like that? Responsible. It's not my style. But all that to be said, Yadong is the Toutmaster official pick. We'll see if I get around to betting him. We'll see what we're doing on Saturday night. Shaun, anything to add for the folks?
No. This is going to be a rough card, I think. But next week's pay-per-view is pretty good. I don't think it's a amazing pay-per-view, but it's a good pay-per-view. There's some good fights on that card.
And then a few weeks from now, we've got the one that everyone's been looking forward to, Rocky Aldana 2.
Oh.
I think this is
what
like
more
the continuation
do you want?
of the Rocky series. This is like Rocky 9. It's tremendous.
Yes.
Must-see TV.
Aye.
Speaking of must-see TV, they're about to do some overtime. And I think that we're going to peace out and go watch it. And I hope everyone else has an excellent week, weekend, what have you. We'll see you next week.